Okay, so let's start off with the question that everybody wants to know. What was it like being in Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Wasn't me.
Well, okay, well, how about planes, trains, and automobiles?
Wasn't me.
Mr. Mom?
Still not me.
What about Days of Our Lives?
That would be me.
From the heart of Hollywood, it's the Patrick Labyorteaux Show with Patrick Labyorteaux.
It's the Patrick Labyorteaux Show. Patrick Labyorteaux. He's the one you gotta know.
Tonight's episode, Patrika Darbo.
Patrick Labyorteaux Show. He's the one you gotta know.
Okay, this is one of my favorite people in the world. When I first met Patrika, I was around, 10? She was older than me, and now 50 years later, she is now younger than me. Please welcome a woman who is Benjamin Buttoning her way through life, star of Days of Our Lives, and an Emmy Award winner, Patrika Darbo. Hey, Patrika.
Hi, everyone. Oh my gosh, you were just a kid. I was, getting there. So
we were all just what?
It was good. It's good genes, and also the picture in the closet that I can't possibly let anyone see.
Act 1, beginnings. Okay, so to give people a little bit of an introduction before we get into the regular, questions and stuff, is Patrika and I met in 76, 77, somewhere there,
somewhere around there, I think. Yeah.
At a place called the Golden Mall Playhouse, which was a wonderful little theater in Burbank, California, that you and your husband Rolf and a number of other people built literally from a bowling alley, right?
Yes, we did.
So,
the lanes all went horizontal, and we turned them vertical. No, they went vertical, and we turned them horizontal. And
yeah, you would be in the seats, and you would look down on the floor, and you would see the little lines where you would bowl.
It was amazing. I met my husband. My husband and I did that. Rolf and I worked there for a long time, and then we got married there on stage in 1973. So, which was there. But we recently just lost George Stratton.
George Stratton was one of the founders.
One of the
along
owners.
with you
He
and Rolf.
recently passed away. Pam passed away a couple years ago, and Walter just sort of disappeared. We think he went back to Illinois to be with family, but it's like he didn't say goodbye or anything, so we don't know. But it was a wonderful little theater. And yes, and your mom and I used to do, we did, honey, listen, we were fairies together and numerous other things. We did Daddy's Dying with each other. And so, yeah. So
we're going to get to all of that. But basically, so everybody knows, I've known Patrika my entire life, and Patrika's known me her entire life. Like I said, she's got some weird deal with the devil about time and aging.
But you want to talk more about
we've known each other
first.
Right. But first of all, I just want to let everybody know we've known each other since the 70s, and she's a wonderful person. And so let's start back in. The one weird thing about this show is I'll talk to my friends, and a lot of them I know kind of a little bit about what their deal is. Since I met you at a theater, I don't know anything about what's your origin story as an actor? How did that come about? Your dad was a club owner, right? Or he managed a club?
Well, that was my real dad. My dad owned a nightclub, and then my mother and father divorced. My stepdad was with the Braves organization. So he was with Boston Braves, Milwaukee Braves, then Atlanta Braves. And then he and Ted Turner didn't think he fit the corporate image. My stepdad was only 4'2". Anyway, that's another whole story that we should.
Like Ted Turner fits any corporate image.
Yeah,
a drunk philanderer.
Well, he let my dad go while they were on the road. Now, keeping in mind that my dad was the traveling secretary who had the money, all the reservations where they were supposed to go, the plane stuff and everything. And my dad said, fine. He got on the plane and went home. Y'all are on your own now. Mr. Turner knows what he's doing. And anyway, so by the time he landed, he had a job with the Astros or with San Francisco. He chose the Astros, and because he had a lot of friends there, and that's where he was till he passed away. But my mom always said I came out of the womb and called me Sarah Bernhardt most of my life. I held a corporate job for a long time and just did acting part-time.
Your resume would say differently. It's amazing the amount of work that you have.
Well, let's put it this way. When I was working, I had numerous toothaches. I had, then the roof fell off or something. I mean, we as liars I shouldn't say that. We as actors know how to lie.
Storyteller,
However,
storyteller.
there you go. But at the same time, I never took vacation time. I would
Right. So
use
you
whatever, if
had
I
it
got the job or I had
on the
stuff,
books.
I would put it towards what I did, so I didn't feel like I was cheating anybody because they always got my time. Um,
So how did
so
you get out to Burbank though? I mean, what is it that brought you to
well,
Hollywood?
my friend Kathy Funky and I decided we were going to move either to New York or to Los Angeles. When I said I was going to move to New York, my dad had a heart attack. Said, "No, you can't go to New York." No, he was too afraid of that one. But California was okay. My mother's best friend lived out here, so we drove to California with a car full of our stuff, and stayed with my aunt for a few days, though she wasn't really blood related; she was family. And then we got our own place, and my friend went to work for a British insurance company, and I had been a credit investigator in Atlanta for CNS Bank, and then I got a job here working for Newcraft Panasonic.
So
Uh,
you and this wonderfully named, what was your name again?
the name of the company was
No,
Panasonic.
your girlfriend. Your girlfriend.
My girl, Kathy Funky,
Funky.
and she got married. Her name is now Kathy Riley. Yes, she went through a lot of
Okay.
anyway. Then I got a job there as a credit manager, and I was taking classes, and I first met my husband at Burbank Little Theater, and then we
Now
both
that's a
went over to the
separate
Golden.
theater that's
It's a
than
separate
the
theater
Golden
that
Mall.
was owned by the city, and
Okay.
then we went over to Golden Mall, and but we met in '71 and got married in '73. Um,
And Rolf is your husband, who I know. And here's how I know Rolf. Rolf is the guy, God bless him, that every time someone I knew either bought a house, he would go around and figure out your circuits and label them on your
we did all of that.
fuse box.
He did all the. We have the design for our great room. We're still married 51 years, even after doing two additions to the house. It was kind of crazy, but yes, he does that. He still does. Right now, he's sort of dealing with dementia, Alzheimer's, which is a little unfortunate, but it's hard
Of
losing
course.
someone every day.
Especially
So.
because I mean, yeah, because he was always literally if the stereotype is the flighty actress, he's the solid rock that like would just
There, I mean, that was
keep
if
everything going.
opposites
Yeah.
attract, we did attract. He
Now, what did
he
Rolf? I'm sorry to interrupt, but I know that Rolf he talked to me one day years and years ago about this crazy movie that he did with this kid director called Frankenweenie over
uh,
at Disney. And what was he doing at Disney? Because that was
well, he started off at Disney pushing mail, and then he worked
okay.
his way up to the all the movies that you saw that had animals, and whether they were like a documentary history of a lion, or but if it was a story with girl meets boy and stuff like that. And was it Ted Allen? I can't think of the guy that narrated most
That
of those
sounds right.
things. Yeah. So then from there, um, uh, the new echelon came into Disney, and
Right.
all the people that had worked with Walt Disney, all those people were not union. Out the door they went. So then he worked with a couple other people like that, but it was very hard if you're not affiliated with the union and don't have other contacts. So
Right.
anyway, so he became my business manager, and that's why I own my house and all that stuff.
And as far
So
as I know, that's the house you've been in since I met you. I mean, it's like
yes, we've lived here since
you guys hunkered
1975.
down and so okay, so you get out to Hollywood and you find the Burbank Little Theater. And then I think the play that we did together was Bye Bye Birdie. Was that the first one? Or
I didn't do Bye Bye Birdie because I also do costumes. So I sewed the costumes for all that. Birdie's gold jumpsuit and all those things. I
oh
made
my
all of
God.
those things. And Rolf, I think Rolf might have been your stage manager. I'm not sure.
That's that I remember.
Yeah.
Then if you weren't in Bye Bye Birdie, then have we ever worked together after all these years?
I don't know if we have, now that I think about
That's
it. I know
crazy.
you were at the theater and your brother was there and stuff, and we
Right.
talk and stuff during things, but I don't think I was on stage with you. I was probably doing fittings or deciding what you're wearing, that kind of stuff. And but no, I
So
don't. Maybe
you're
we.
working, okay, so then you're working at the Golden Mall Playhouse, you're doing these plays, and back in the day, it was you would do plays, you'd find an agent, you'd go off and you get commercials, you would do guest stars. And when you look at your resume is literally the definition of a working actor in the sense that it's like guest star, guest star, guest star, guest star, guest star. You were on a ton of shows before I'm sure you would even consider yourself like making it.
No,
Um,
it's absolutely
but you're
true.
still
And but
working.
well, that was the basic thing for me was and I'm not sure if this is, I think we're going to get it to a little later, and I will talk about that in the fact that I did some background stuff when he's for the under the AFTRA contract,
Uh huh.
and I always got boosted to special business. I'm still getting residuals for that, so
Well,
it's
that
like
again, that's a great example of how a union or a situation where you've got a contract that makes it possible for people to move up through the ranks by way of that. There's a guy, in fact, jumping ahead to Roseanne, the guy who played Tom Arnold on that, Steven, he and I did a movie called Ghoulies 3. And on Ghoulies 3, there was an extra who we got bumped up because he was doing all this great stuff, and then he later on went on to be Matt Dillard, and he's got this great career. But it's like you get bumped up on these different levels of it, by way of doing great stuff, and you've always had a great look, which I think is a signature look in kind of a way. So
well, it
I'm
is
getting
for
way
me.
ahead of
It's like
myself.
whether I'm 200 pounds or whether I'm 150, which I am now. It's like
Uh-huh.
whether I'm up or whether I'm down, it's still the same. And when we first started out, you were asking me, "Oh, how was Trains and Booze?" I was
Right.
doing Ferris Bueller. I am not so much. You're going to die with this one. So much noticed noticed as her every once in a while.
Uh-huh.
I think it was a kids show, and it was the little girl that was the robot. I Every once in a while I get mistaken for Edie there. Mostly Conchata Ferrell.
Oh, wow. Conchata Ferrell, who played the maid on Two and
Yeah,
a
yeah,
Half Men for all of
yes,
the younger kids. But
until
she
she
was
passed.
Hot L Baltimore and a ton of other stuff.
Amazing, amazing
Yeah.
actress and very nice. And we were at the Paley Center because they were doing something special that we were invited to, and we were all in the audience talking and stuff like that. And they were talking about getting recognized or what was the funniest things that happened like that. And she goes, well, oddly enough, I get mistaken for Patrika Darbo all the time. She's sitting right out there in the audience, like this. And I got to a point where now I just sign her name when they come up and want an autograph. And I
Well,
went,
let's talk
ditto,
about that.
ditto.
Let's talk about that right now. Okay, so you're a working actor. You're going out on auditions, um, and again, now it's a lot different with diversity and with all this other things. You can walk into a room, and I can be auditioning against a black woman, and we're reading for the same part. But back
Yes.
then, it was like if you walk into a room, you're looking at 5 other or 15 other people that look exactly like you.
For me, it was
So,
usually five. And when we walk in
uh-huh.
the room, everyone would go, well, I don't know why I'm here. This was your role. And then it was. And then I'd walk in the room and go, I have no idea why I'm here, Marianne. It's your role. Or Mary Pat Gleason or Mary Pat Green or, Marianne Muller-Liley. All these ladies we'd
All the
be
Marys.
auditioning always. It was crazy. And then there's Patrika. Hello, guys. So, I mean, there's so many. I think it was interesting too because always being a character actor, we knew
Uh-huh.
whose role it was going to be. There was no backbiting. There was no like, well, I just booked 14 commercials and blah, 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 blah. None of that stuff. Um, but now, and as you're talking about it, we don't have that opportunity because we can't even go in a room. Now they can
Don't you
audition
hate
100
that?
people all on
Hate it.
videotape. Just like this,
Yeah.
I'm auditioning for you right now. Let me get the script and here we go.
Right.
That's the audition.
And this is even more interactive than what they're having us do, which
Yeah,
is the self
absolutely. Because we're
tapes.
having a
Yeah.
conversation. When I do an audition, or you do an audition, or actors do one now, it's with the reader and the camera guy, who are usually the same person. So,
Everybody
and
hates it
at
except the
this point, I'm going
accountant.
to highly recommend Tim, Tim Powell, his company, absolutely fabulous. So I know there's a plug for somebody. He is amazing.
And
He
he
edits your
does self tapes with you guys, right?
he
He
does your
will self
self
tape you.
tapes for
Yeah.
everybody. He was an actor. He is so well read. Like one time I was doing David Mamet, and I was like being myself, and he goes, no. He goes, David Mamet is this. You need to do this and stuff, which changed my whole approach to the
Yeah.
thing. At that point, I've gotten called back by the same casting people all the time because they liked what happened. So at least when you're doing other auditions for the same people, if you don't get called or you don't book the role, at least they like you and want you to keep coming back because you represent the talent that they find for them. So
Right.
I'm very grateful for that. So, but yeah, it's
But
a
back
little
in the
harder
day,
now.
you'd go into this room and there'd be all these other ladies, or you would know about other parts. And like you said, I found that in the voiceover world where there was enough work and that was a small enough group where everyone kind of, it was very, very friendly in that sense. It's like, oh, he got the Chrysler ad or he got the Budweiser ad. Um, but now it's a lot different. So you're going out and you're reading all of these different auditions and you're booking all of these different parts. What was your first, like, not big break as far as like what we might know you from, but what did you consider your first big, oh, I can't believe I'm in this business?
Oh wow! Every time I walked in there and saw Major Star, I was like this. For me, I think when I got my SAG card, which was doing a commercial for Hershey's Hefty Hamburgers, and it was God, I'm on a bench. There's a pigeon on the back of the bench. And then this little nebbishy, tiny little guy comes along with his sack and brings out his hamburger like this, and the bench goes whoop, and I slide down into him like this. The pigeon slides down into him like this. That was my first commercial, um, and I've done a lot since then of commercials because I do commercials, the voiceovers, I do on camera,
Sure.
sitcoms and drama, and um, I'm more known for comedy and than anything else.
We'll be back after these messages. Hey there, my name is Patrick Labyorteaux, and I play an actor on TV. And I also have this acting school called Working Actors School. And what we do there is we teach people to act using Zoom. So you can take an acting class with me and with a person in Connecticut, in Florida, and San Diego all at the same time, thanks to the miracle of Zoom. And I'm very excited to announce that we have a brand new class called Adult Weekly Class. Now, what is that? Now, that's a class that'll meet every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, and you come in and you have an hour-long acting class with other students. It's very, very simple, very, very fun. So if you've ever wanted to be an actor or try it or just mess around, these classes are great. So the Adult Weekly Class is going to be every Wednesday at 5:30 Pacific. Now come and check it out. It's going to be really fun. Go to workingactorschool.com. Check out the website. You can sign up for the class there. If you need any other information, there's a phone number and an email on the website. You can get it there. And we would love to have you come and try. Talk to you soon. Act 2. Success. Okay, so this is just from your IMDb, okay? Bay City Blues, which I read for, Riptide, which I read for, Different Strokes, Misfits of Science, General Hospital, You Again, St. Elsewhere, The Night Before, Punky Rooster, It Takes Two, and then Just the 10 of Us, The Burbs, Troop Beverly Hills, Mama's Family, Growing Pains. You did 5 episodes of that. So when you get to Growing Pains, this is like, at least on IMDb, the first time you're doing more than one episode. Now, doing one episode, that's like literally a working actor. You're playing all these
Honey,
different
I did
parts.
5 shows, those five of them, I believe, and I was 3 different characters.
Really?
Oh my God.
That's
Yes. Yeah, one time I was one of the mothers at school with Ben. That was the one that had 3 episodes. Then they called me in and asked me to play Elvira at a kid's party that Ben was going to. It's another whole episode. And then I got a call saying the lady who was hired to do uh, the vice principal for Cameron's show. Cameron, not Cameron.
uh,
That's the
Kirk
sister.
Cameron?
Kurt.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, Kurt's his vice principal, and and again, I'm willing to do most anything. If it jeopardizes my health or morally something I object to, I'm not going to make fat jokes. If the person in Idaho's
Wow,
not
yeah.
laughing, I'm not going to do it. That's gratuitous and as a writer, shame on you. Anyway,
Yeah.
so the thing is the lady she didn't want to do what they wanted her to do. So they said, get Patrika. She'll do
Okay.
anything. So I come in and he's on the stage with his graduation class, and I'm coming with the diplomas stacked like this. And I'm supposed to like drop them and like fall. And I said to the director, I said, well, wait a second. If I fall and I hit the floor and I slide on the things, I'm going to slide across the stage on my stomach. And he went, you can do that? And I said, yes. Now, here we're shooting. We're going. I come across the stage. I'm carrying him like this. I hit the floor. I slide across like this. The entire graduation class bursts into laughter. And I have to do it again because they don't want any reaction from him, except like, oh, I'm going, are you out to kill me? What the hell is going on? Anyway, so listen, and then from that point on, I was in more episodes. I don't know why I'm not getting credit for that because I played his vice principal in several other episodes. So, yeah.
IMDb, it's like you can change credits. It's like who
I
knows
know it's
how
crazy.
it gets there. It's
It's
the
crazy,
magical
but
gnomes. But so it's around this area. I'm just going to lay a little bit of foundation here. So my mom is an actress. You met my mom at the Golden Mall Playhouse. You guys become friends. There's a group, we called it the Burbank Mafia. There's this Burbank Mafia of you and Noreen and my mom and a number of other people, George Stratton, just all these great actors and people in the business. And
yeah.
my mom gets it in her head that she's going to make my dad, who is not involved in the industry, that she's going to make
And
him an
doesn't
agent.
want to be.
Doesn't, yeah, it doesn't want to be. He's an artist. He's a beautiful artist.
Oh my
He
God!
does sculptures and paintings.
I have a sculpture on the wall that he gave me, and I have one of his beautiful boxes. I'm trying to think what I've done with that one because the remodel sometimes things get put away and I can't find them. They're probably in the
Right.
garage. Oh God. Anyway, yeah, a
Right. And
wonderful
so
art.
so my mom and my dad met. She's an actress, he's an artist. And so years later, he gets sick. And he's sick for like forever. It's like, talk about a soap opera. The guy's sick for like 12 years. And it's always this, in the hospital, out of the hospital. And so along the way, my mom says she's got to focus him, it's like give him something to do because he can't really physically do the other thing. And she wants a better agent. So she makes my dad an agent and they create this thing called Star Talent Agency, which was perfect name. And we run it out of this back house in this house that we're renting in Burbank from Will. Oh,
Yuri,
no.
Yuri,
Yuri. Yeah. I just interviewed him. Wesley Ure. So Wesley
Wesley.
Ure also, yeah, Wesley Ure, who lived next door to us, had this house. We rented it from him, and he had a back house, and we ran this agency out of the back house. And you come to work for the agency. How did that happen, and what was that all
Well,
about?
at that point, I think at that point was when, um, I think it was when I'm trying to think of the year that happened. Do you remember what year it was?
87,
I think
88,
so. What
somewhere there.
happened was I was working for a credit agency. It was a not a credit agency. I was working for a company, and I had an appendicitis, and then I had stayed home. But all the time I was home, I was working, trying to get money, doing everything like this. By the time I get back, there's a new management, and he calls everybody in for a meeting with the president, blah blah blah, and all the managers are there and stuff like that. And he gives this big presentation, the new guy. Well, at the end, and in front of managers, I said, I don't want to have this come the wrong way, but as the credit manager and having been active working on all this stuff, if we don't, the receivables and you've got them inflated. And I said, the bank is going to see that and we're going to be in trouble and we'll be bankrupt within 6 months. We need to do X, Y, and Z. And I explained stuff and how things were going and that we needed to put the credits through for that because why the receivable. Anyway, all that stuff. At the end of the meeting, the guy said, Patrika, would you mind staying? I'd like to talk to you. Okay. I'm thinking he wants to go over the books. The first thing he says to me is, you are a woman no more than a goat. Don't ever contradict me again.
Oh no!
Now, you know me. Out the
I
door I
know
went,
you.
into
I'm
the
already
president's
backing away.
right into the president's office, and I said, "Look," I said, "you have 2 weeks' notice or 20 minutes." And I said, "You're lucky I'm not going to sue your ass. I will not work for that man ever, and you will be bankrupt in 6 months or less." Back into my office, called Rolf and said, "I'm quitting. Either 20 minutes or they'll tell me 2 weeks." Hung up the phone. The guy comes in. He said, he can't work with you either, so you can have 20 minutes. Packed up my car with all my personal stuff, and out the door I went. I also went out the door with my own Rolodex that I had created, all the stuff that I had created. Fuck you, they were bankrupt in 3 months. Don't ever
There it
do that.
is. There it is.
Don't
Right.
ever do that. Anyway,
Uh-oh.
so I think it was around there, and I didn't have a job and stuff like that. And I said, "Well, let me come help." And
Right.
that was, we booked that wonderful Indian, American Indian on one of the big commercials, a telephone company. Remember that? And
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to figure out my ass from page 9. And, so I'm having to talk to your dad at things, and he's like in the hospital, not doing so well. And I'm going, I don't quite understand what I need to do. Anyway, we got it worked out. She got the job, and we had several people that got lots of jobs and stuff out of that. So it was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, but it was kudos to agents and their assistants and stuff, because it's crazy. It's crazy.
So you were working in the office. I should. You're exactly right. You came to work at the office, not for the office. It was like
Mhm.
more of a friend hanging out. And it was,
Absolutely.
what I loved about it was a bunch of actors, because back in the day, the breakdowns came over this teletype machine or fax machine that would kind of clickety click out all the different things that you can now find online. But back in the day, only agents had access to the breakdowns, and so it was like a big thing. So all of this Burbank mafia of actors would hang out and work at the agency, look at the breakdowns, get submitted. We found, my dad and I went out one night to a comedy store, and you know, we discovered Jeff Garland. Jeff Garland was at the agency. Matt Lillard was at the agency. All these people that ended up going somewhere. My dad was the type of
Well, Lee
agent where he sat
Garlington, I
down.
think, was also, wasn't Lee
Yeah, Lee
Garlington there?
Garlington, right? Yeah,
Yes,
and
yeah.
she did a Stallone, a Cobra, and so at one point my dad sat Matt Lillard down because he was the kid from Ghoulies I was telling you about, and he would later go on to star in Scream. And he sat him down, and he had just gotten him a hosting gig on a MTV show. And he goes, "I'm letting you go because you need a bigger agent, and we're not a big enough agency." So that was my dad. He would let people
That's what,
go
yes,
because
he was amazing like that. Your mom's going, "The son of a bitch left us."
right. And so
Another one of those, the artist and the rock.
right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's this blonde, fire storm of energy and, everything, in this big actress. And so right around this time, there was another thing that kind of gelled this whole like group of people together, a play called Daddy's Dying, Who's Got the Will, written by Del Shores, which was on Coanga for like how long? Like 15 years?
We did a theater for 2 years. We got to go over to Edinburgh, Scotland, to perform in the Fringe with it.
Uh-huh.
I think your mom did Mama Wheelus while we were gone. But I'm not really
Yeah,
sure.
no, she was like Mama Wheelis's like understudy or backup
Yeah,
or
and then but
crew
when
B
we
or
were gone,
whatever.
I think she did. I think she filled in more so when we were gone and stuff. Then we came back and
Yeah.
did it there, and then we did it in various other places. But then the film came out, and I was asked to reprise my role as well as Molly McClure, who was the
Uh-huh.
original Mama Wheelis. And so we did that film, which was wonderful. Shot it in Texas, and um, I got put under contract for ABC at that point, and
So was that the beginning of kind of like a role that started for you,
well,
or
that's where I got Step by Step. That was the day where I got ABC put me under contract. They sold me to Lorimar. Lorimar sold me to Warner Brothers. Crazy time. Anyway, so Peggy Ray, who played my mother and Suzanne's mother, I was Suzanne's sister. Um,
Suzanne Summers,
yes, yes.
star of
Sorry, with
Step by
Patrick
Step with
Duffy and
Patrick
all the
Duffy?
kids
Yeah.
and stuff. And I still see a number of the kids all the time, and Patrick with his new wife, Linda Pearl. Anyway,
Wait, Patrick married Linda?
yes,
I didn't know that.
yes.
Did you know the house we bought up in Beverly Glen was Linda's house? Linda Pearl's
No,
house?
No,
We had a place up in
well,
Beverly Glen.
they got married, yes. And I
Wow,
think he just sold his ranch in that he had up there. I'm not sure, but you should get a hold of him. And
that's
talk to him,
crazy.
interview him and Linda. You'd have another good.
That would they would be amazing. But you're so you get on step by step. And the thing that I love about this is again, working actor, you're used to going in, hitting your mark, knowing your lines, and killing on show night or during, when they're filming, and then having to leave. This your first time where you had like a regular kind of
Yes, this was my first.
what was the
first
difference
series,
like for you? How
first
did you like that?
contract. Yeah. Well, it's like you people think you walk on water. I mean, the crew bends over backwards. It's kind of like, and for me, I come for this. I go say hey to all the extras. I talk to the background people. I mean, I'm like one of the gang. This I don't get the whole
Yeah.
thing anyway. Um, so
But for a
it was
working
very
actor,
weird.
for someone who's used to going out and getting gigs, was this, how did it make you, how was it different? How was that experience different than getting a script on Thursday for next week?
Well, I mean, well, on the sitcom is so different than the episodic. But the sitcom,
Yeah.
we get the script on Monday, we do the read through. The next script comes on Tuesday. It's not the same as Monday, and then we get another script on Wednesday, and then it's not the same as the one we got on Monday or Tuesday. And then on Thursday we do another script, and then comes the network, and they go blah 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 blah. And so Friday when we're taping, we all have new scripts. So it
What
was.
do you prefer? Do you prefer the one camera, when you're shooting it like a movie, or the three camera like a sitcom? Do you have a preference?
I will have to be honest. I like them both. It depends on what venue and stuff is going on. And I think a lot of times, like I said earlier, starting out as a background person, learning more so where the cameras are going to be. It was funny because there I had no problem because it was shot. Basically, there were mostly three cameras, but they were film. When I then
Uh-huh.
went to
Right.
days, when I went to days, these are these huge big things like this, and it was all this light went on, this light went on. That was all very confusing. Here, you just
Well,
knew where you're
soap
supposed.
opera is then once again another world than a three camera show.
Oh
Because
yeah,
soap opera, you're doing an hour, 60 or more pages a day,
a day. Yeah.
not like 30 pages in a week. Yeah.
Mm, yeah.
So
It's
I love the experience of a sitcom because at the
yes.
end of the week, you're putting on a show and you've got an audience and all of that. I love the control of a single camera show where you can go again with the sitcom, you can go again, but because of the live feeling, you kind of usually want to live in the moment. With a filmed show like a Jag or Little House, you want to have that moment perfect and then you move on.
And the
Um,
thing about that moment is that moment may be at the end of the script and not at the beginning. Um,
right.
uh, it was interesting because when I was doing Mr. and Mrs. Smith, that was when I guess Angela Jolie and Brad Pitt met and stuff like that. At that point,
Yeah.
they both went to their own trailer, blah blah blah, and we were discussing, myself and the other couples that were involved were discussing the fact that they were getting ready to do. We're doing this scene, but they're getting ready to do a love scene. And you're kind of going like, but that's the end of the movie. But they said a lot of times they do love scenes at the very beginning in case the actors hate each other by the time it's and later to do the love scenes. And I went, well, I've really never done a love scene, so I don't know about that, but that's interesting like this. So uh, it's a weird business, but I don't want to do anything else, as I'm sure you don't. So
No,
um,
I mean, I was born and raised and bred to be in this business. When you were on this step by step show, which was a very popular show, very, very successful, I don't know the behind the scenes on that particular show. Seems like Patrick Duffy's a good guy. Suzanne Summers seemed nice. Was it a friendly show? Was it a good show to
it
be
was
on?
wonderfully friendly. The kids were all good. As the parents sometimes are get too involved in their kids' lives and stuff like that. And but it was really a fun, joyous thing. But along about I think about the 15th episode was when they introduced Sasha. What the hell's Sasha's last name? Who he played Cody, the kind of hello
Okay.
there, everybody. And he had played Patrick's son, I think it was his son, on uh, Dallas. Anyway, he came in, he was hysterical. And it was kind of like Peggy Ray and I looked at each other and said, Urkel. We're not long for this world. So, so it's interesting. They we could see the writing on the wall, and then just as after they got the pickup for the next year, they kind of called and said, "We're going a different way now, and we're not going
Right.
to have them." So it's basically Peggy and I went into the beauty parlor and were never heard of again. So
Now, this
it's
was
like that.
was this a TGIF show? Was this a Friday night show for
Yes,
you
it
guys?
was very successful
So
TV.
TGIF was huge, as was all of television before, the changes happened. First there was
Yeah.
cable and now internet. You would easily be seen by 25 million people an episode. What was that like, from being on, Daddy's Dying was critically successful, but literally it's like that theater was a 99 seat theater. So it was like 99 people per show versus 25 million. What was that like for you?
Well, it's interesting. It's again, hi Conchata, how are you? So it's like it doesn't matter at this point. A Zoftig redheaded woman, we're all the same. I mean, I think Edie said at one point, Patrika's, I get it's crazy. It totally is crazy how that happens.
Right.
Uh, I will tell you that being on the soap, I come into your house every day.
So let's talk about that. So here we are, Days of Our Lives. Okay, so I have had one experience with soap opera. I got to read for the part of Blackie on General Hospital, which eventually went to some kid named John Stamos. I
Which
read for
I did
Gloria
with him, and he still
Monty.
remembers it. I did one of
Really?
the, yeah. Oh God, it was with Jack Klugman
Uh
and
huh.
him, and I can't remember what it was.
Oh,
But I had said to
Jack Klugman played his dad or something, and it was a
a
TV show,
dad or uncle
Detectives.
or some, I don't remember. They were
Yeah.
related in some way or another. But I do remember that I saw John at some event or something. I said, "Hey, John, we worked together." He said, "You were one of the customers in this." Yes, thank you. I mean, he was amazing, very kind, very nice, wonderful too.
I love hearing. I
But back,
love hearing
let
when a
me just say
celebrity is
it,
a good
Pat. Yeah,
celebrity.
let me just say, Patrick Duffy. Everybody knew him as dramatic. The man is the funniest thing on the face of the earth, and he and Suzanne together. Holy crap! I mean,
Yeah.
it was great. Um, but going to the soap opera, I
Yeah,
saw.
so my experience with the General Hospital and meeting Gloria Monty, it's like it was one thing where it was an audition, I didn't get it. But every person that I've talked to, Phil Tanzini's a friend of mine who was on a soap opera, the people, the amount of dialogue that you guys have and the little amount of time that you have to like learn it, like they give it to you and then you got to
Yeah,
shoot
you get
60
like three
pages a
days
day.
maybe to memorize it. But then at 3 days they give you three scripts, so you're shooting them 1, 2, and 3 right in a row. So you have to have it all. But when I first started, Patrick, it was really tough because Monday you got the script,
Uh-huh.
and on Tuesday only a few words had changed, so you were virtually saying the same thing again. But in your brain you're kind of going, okay, and then the next day is that it's basically the whole week you're kind of repeating yourself in different things, but you get into a point where you're confused as to, was this Monday script, should I be, anyway, that kind of thing. But on Friday you did the cliffhanger that led into the next week and started all. Now it's very fast. It's very fast in most cases now. Days of Our Lives right this moment is on Peacock, and they are 7 months ahead. So when a story's
Whoa.
not working, they can't fix it. So I think Paula Swickley. She's back
Yeah.
being the head writer for the show, and she's aged in front of my hair. She had hair like mine, and now she has hair like yours. So it's been, I mean, she's flogging herself at this point, and kudos to her. But I got the job because
Now,
I was
what was your experience? Yeah, tell me how you got the job. So you're doing what? How do you audition for Days of Our Lives?
I was at a party at Ronnie Claire Edwards' house,
Uh-huh.
and Fran Bascom casually asked me to having a glass of wine. Pam
Casting
Bascom,
director Fran
may she
Basco.
rest. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
both of them, may they rest in peace. Fan said, Patrika, would you do a soap opera? Now, I'm 200 pounds. I'm like this. I'm thinking, sure, Fran, what the hell? It's work. Of course I'm going to do it. And she said, okay. In my mind, though, I'm going, here's your beer. Want some peanuts? I'll be back in a minute. Now I got the job. I didn't have to audition. I've got the job.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Oh yeah, blessings, honey. So and again, I didn't have to audition for Step by Step either. I mean, so it's like,
What is going on? How did that happen? Sorry to back up, but that's amazing.
because that was ABC. ABC sold me to Lorimar, and they said, yes, she is. You got her. And I, met with Tom and Bob and the other two producers weren't anyway. But step by step, that's what I think I'm going in there. My agent calls me and said, turn on the show now and you'll see your husband. I went, my husband? So I turn on the show and there's Kevin Spiritus. Mr. I am a soap star. This way, like this. And he's like stepped out of GQ magazine. And I'm going, what? I said, no. They've hired the wrong thing or they've got the wrong picture. There's a problem somewhere. Anyways, he goes, nope, that's what it is and stuff. What it keeps popping up. So I go to work, and all the time I'm there, I'm freaking going any minute now. Like, anyway,
So instead of playing a waitress, or roles like you've played, you are a romantic lead.
Romantic, super bitch, super wealthy, and I got the husband to die for. Okay, so in my head, I'm going, I'll wake up in a few minutes or the bomb will drop. So I'm telling this to Nina, who was my makeup artist. And usually it's like slapping on a cinder on stage, or if you're doing like your own stuff, you're doing your own makeup and they just do a touch up. Anyway, some guys doing my hair and some ladies smearing stuff. And I'm saying to Nina, any second, Nina, they're going to realize that they've got the wrong person. And she's putting eyelashes on me. Okay. All of a sudden over the intercom, because Patrika Darbo, please report to the producers. Steve Wyman would like to speak with you. And I went, I told you. Nina dropped the brush. She was like this. Anyway, so I go upstairs, and he just wants to welcome me to the
and you storm in and go, I can work in 20 minutes or I can leave in 2 weeks.
I walked in going, hi, is this it? He goes, I just wanted to wish you good luck and happy being on the show and blah, blah, blah. Because he probably never seen my work except looked at my resume or my tape or something. And soap opera there. If there was a soap opera there, and I think I did GH back in the 80s as a waitress, recurring waitress on there. And but that was it. And when I started on the show, there were still 18 soaps going on. There's only 4 now. Well,
soaps were a huge deal. I mean,
they paid everybody's bills. Oh,
yeah.
Anyway,
now again, here we go. So a working actress, but now you're on a soap. It says on IMDb, and I'm sure they got it wrong, over 500 episodes you've been in.
I've been on 20 years.
What's that like?
I've been on there 20 years.
Insane, Patrika.
I know.
You're still on
I
it.
think it's like, I think I was on like 8 years to start, and then I was off for a while. Then I came back and I was on for a while. Then I left again, and then I came back. And I just filmed, as I told you, they're ahead. I filmed in March of last year, and it aired in October. So on Peacock. So there I'm doing that. Now, keep in mind, I have any, now some guy wants to kiss me. And so and I was like, God, what is happening here? It was all like, and at one point I had to say, I have to take my shoes off to kiss Kevin. And they go, why? I said, because my boobs don't fit in the right place. Oh my God. I mean, listen, it was crazy. And so we were bad characters, but good characters, fun characters, but bad characters, and vicious at times. But oddly enough, and here's something for you to know.
Yeah.
We came on the show. We drove Rourke Critchlow and the young girl that played with Mike and Carrie. We destroyed them. And in fact, we also destroyed another character and made her go nuts so that she kidnapped Rourke, tied him up, and she was like, carrying around a Barbie doll going like this and stuff. Anyway, so the last time I was doing the series there, Kevin comes out as gay.
Okay.
I've been married 35 years.
Kevin the actor or Kevin the character?
Oh, Kevin the character.
Okay.
But it was because he just done his own show where he was gay and he just announced it and he was making this like this. And anyway, so he's gay and he has a big scene going there like this. Well, so I end up with a killer he's killed somebody. Now he's proposing to me, and I got another lover. And okay, so then that goes on like this. Then we find out he is a killer, and like I'm like out of it. And then all of a sudden, I'm like ready to go, and Rourke Critchlow comes back to the show.
Uh-huh.
And we have this discussion. First of all, he's nasty to me because I was real nasty to him, and we have a conversation and talk about stuff. And then he said, "Wow, hon, you've gone through a lot and stuff like that." And I said, "Yeah, I'm on my way back to New York." He said, "Well, let's have coffee or something, some kind of pierogi or something." He said at this point, but we go. Now we're in New York together, dating. Okay, Wesley Ure played the original Mike Horton.
I was going to ask about that. Did you ever get to work with Wesley or no? But this was the guy that replaced Michael Horton.
One of the guys. Wesley. I think there were several of them, but he's the one that did it and stuff like that. So
yeah, he tells this story about how they tried to replace him many times. They brought him back, and then they ended up replacing him again. But that's soaps. I mean, that's a crazy amount.
It truly is, and it's like if somebody gets terribly sick and is going to be out for a while, they have somebody come in to fill in for them, so they have a job and a contract for a little while, but they know it's a limited one, you know. But and in the soap
what's the best
world,
thing about being on a soap? What is the best thing for you when you're
about being on a soap?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, steady work. Second of all, it's a tight knit family, so it's like. You see these people every single day, and like I said, I've been there 20 years. Now, the last time I went,
is that where we all met Paula? Was Paula there? Is that how you know Paula? Or is
Paula
that
worked for Mr. Logan, who was the person that had hired me, and he was the executive VP at that time. She was his assistant writing things, and she worked her way up. And at one point, when he was let go, and then Steve was let go, and anyway. They made Paula the head writer with another writer, and I can't think of his name right this moment. But they wrote everything. She wrote the story where Nadia Bjorlin, who played my daughter, she got leukemia, and then Kevin and I had to try to. Neither one of us were matches, and we ended up having a baby. Yeah, I've had a baby there. In fact, two soaps. Punky Brewster delivered my first child, and this time, anyway, it's been a wild career for me.
That's the name of your book right there. Punky Brewster delivered my first child.
Anyway, so and we have the child, and then when I went back in March this year, this was introducing that daughter. After 20 years, she's suddenly there. You know, they'd never had her on before.
Now, this was the era that you were nominated for your first Emmy, right?
I mean, you were nominated in the early part, but at one point I got breast cancer, and I didn't want to be mean to Mike anymore because he had been the doctor and had calmed me down and checked everything out and made sure everything was okay. And now I have a different aspect of loving him. But we did terrible things. There was a rival between he and Kevin, and they wanted to have the job of chief of staff. Anyway, Kevin got the job. Now he has an office. I put a hot tub in there. I put a hot tub in my husband's office. And of course, in the soap opera, there's a hot tub in there. Now we have to get in there. And I go, we have to get in there? The crew's there.
Chekhov's hot tub.
They give me a nude colored thing that I have to come out and get into this tub. And first of all, I go to the guy and I said, guys, water displaces. Now, if this little person over here who's a size 00 gets in that tub, it's not moving. When I get in there, it's going to move. I don't want spillage going on here and embarrass me. And furthermore, there needs to be a lot of bubbles because these float. Okay. So now I'm a nude thing getting in that thing. And anyway, then we're drinking champagne in the hot tub like this time.
What does Rolf think about any of this? Does Rolf care about any of this? Or
and your check just came in. I've deposited it. That's it. We don't operate in those worlds like this. So anyway, crazy. So it's been
Now
great.
you
It's been
remember
great.
all of your storylines. When as an actor, I did JAG, of course, and we did 220 episodes. Oh my gosh, amazing! And you're like on 1,000 episodes at this point. So how do you remember all of your story? Is it just something that personally you
Well, I
just
mean,
remember
again,
story,
you
or
know, when the first part you repeat things so much often and stuff, and then things come back and be referred to as stuff. Now it's like new characters and crazy stuff, and that's why one writer leaves and then another writer comes in, and then that, you know, we've had the devil on the show, and when Deidre was possessed, Marlena, and then at one point now the devil's come in and jumped into 1511 different bodies, and oh, it was crazy. Um, so
do you remember the movie Soap Dish with Kevin Kline? And
yes, yes, yes,
how
and
close to that? How close to it is that?
you know, they have the kind of thumb on the different stuff that goes on and stuff like that. I mean, I've seen, you know, marriages, I've seen divorces, and I've seen, you know, like, you know, what happened to you? Well, we had an argument and he pushed me, that kind of stuff, you know. So
Right,
those are tales you could really tell. But that's the best part about it is we keep that inside. That doesn't leave that set.
right.
That's, you know, you don't take your family's laundry and air it unless you're getting paid big bucks by the star. Just kidding.
We'll be back after these messages. Hey there, my name is Patrick Labyorteaux, and I play an actor on TV. And I also have this acting school called Working Actors School. And what we do there is we teach people to act using Zoom. So you can take an acting class with me and with a person in Connecticut, in Florida, and San Diego all at the same time, thanks to the miracle of Zoom. But we also teach kids. We have a great class called the Youth Weekly class that's every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. And it's for kids. It's for like 10 to 17. And we have a great group of kids right now, and it is ongoing. So if you know someone that wants to get into acting and has never done any acting but would love to try, why don't you have them try starting off with Youth Weekly? Just go to workingactorsschool.com and check us out. It's Youth Weekly every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. Act 3, present day. So around this time, so you're doing Days of Our Lives. Then, and again, I don't know if this is the right timing here. By the way, Space Invaders was one of my favorite movies.
It was so much
You
fun. Yes.
you're in Gremlins. You do Ghost Dad. You're on Roseanne. Saved by the Bell. I'm just Santa Barbara. You did all these different episodes of.
That was the other soap I did. I couldn't think of it. Yes. I was like doing
Right.
makeup for somebody. So, yeah.
And you did
But
a Seinfeld. You're all over the place. And then you do. Is it before or after? Then you do the movie Clint Eastwood.
before
Is that
that, you know, you said that
is Roseanne?
you said, looking at my resume, you see the fact that
Yeah.
I did The Burbs, and I also
Yep.
I did Gremlins 2. Now, on The Burbs, they just call me up and say,
Now these are both Joe Dante films. So
yes, and Joe has his people call my agent and say, "Can she come do this?" Sure. Comes there. I have a contract. I'm a principal player. Blah blah blah. I get there. They want to put me in the honey wagon. I said, no, like, no. And they were like, "Oh, now." And I go, "Are there any sides? Because I haven't seen anything." And they go, "No." Joe comes and says, "All I want you to do is the house was burning up. I want you to get out of the taxi cab and start screaming, 'What the hell happened to my house? Where's my husband?' Just start talking and raving and just be a lunatic." Fine. So I get out, open the thing, screaming, yelling. So I'm at the end of the movie only, but I do have screen credit, you know, even though that was what was going on. Now we're ready to leave, and he says, "I need to borrow your clothes," and I was like, okay. He said, "Because we have to have some long shots later, and we're not going to pay you your day rate to come back for those. Can we borrow your clothes?" Sure. Here's my clothes. Now, I get another call from Joe. We want you to do Gremlins 2. Okay. So I go to Gremlins 2, and I'm standing there in my teal-colored polka dot dress, big as life, picking out what yogurt I want, and I then see that ugly little gremlin start screaming there like this. Day's done. Off I do. I get a paycheck. I got my contract, and Joe comes, "We need to keep your clothes." I said, "This is getting kinky. Joe Dante, this is getting kinky. By the way, Joe, I haven't worked for a while for you. What the hell's going on?" Anyway, that kind of thing. So But I did Roseanne, the show. I was Dan's dream lover, and that's something that keeps on giving. When I did Roseanne, which was just a little bit later, both Fox and NBC asked me and Stephen Lee to audition or to take the role. We didn't even have to audition for it.
Uh-huh.
Asked us to take the role.
So the movie you're
So
talking about was an unauthorized biography. Again, back in the day, TV movie, it was a huge, huge event for
yes,
everybody.
but
And you
NBC
played
virtually
Roseanne
killed us.
Barr.
Yeah.
Stephen Lee played Tom Arnold.
Hmm.
And so I just wanted to set that up in case people
Yeah.
didn't know. So
The
you're
thing
doing the
about
movie.
that was when it did air, it was on Monday Night Football, and it was it was not publicized or put in the right place and stuff.
Okay.
I think I just got a check recently for it for residual and stuff, but it was a wonderful experience to be the king, the king and queen. But I was
Yeah.
number one on the call sheet.
Which, if
that's
anyone
a
doesn't know,
that's a
number one on
really
the
good
call
thing when
sheet
you're
is literally when you're
yeah.
number one listed on the call sheet. And it's just sort of like, because you're number one, that means that you're in the most scenes, because it's the call sheet is listed by the production manager to figure out who's working the most. So you're given a lot of deference, and you're given a lot of time and a lot of priority. And then depending on how you use that, you can be a good number one or a bad number one. Were you a good number one?
I was a fabulous number one. And in fact, at the end of the shoot, the producers all called and gave me most of the expensive looking wardrobe that she had run. And the
Which you then
reason
had to send to Joe Dante.
yeah, that would have been great. Uh, uh, and they gave it to me because at one point the entire crew and a couple of the producers got food poisoning.
Oh, gosh.
I got up and went to work.
Well, that's you though. That
And
you are you. That's who
that's
you are.
it. But
Yeah.
I had a bucket there like this. I'm laying on a gurney in the hospital.
Oh
They call
God.
me for my scene, and I'd go do my scene. Hi there, da, da, da. Hi, that's how, that kind of stuff. Then I go back and lay on the gurney for a while.
What was it like having been on Roseanne? Now you're playing Roseanne. So you obviously, did you work with Roseanne on Roseanne, or did you just work with
We really didn't have any
John Goodman?
conversation at that time. And that when I worked on the show, she was with Tom Arnold at that time.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I mean, again,
As
it's
I asked
something
with
that
Step by Step, Roseanne was notoriously known as being a crazy set. Was that your experience?
well, it's interesting because I don't know what she was doing at the time, but it was not so much. And like I was there one point when, and they had just done a scene with the kids, but both the kids were going off because one had to take a chemistry test, and it was a practical test where she had to be in a school with all the stuff to do the test. And then I think the other daughter was doing some kind of math thing she had to go do. I mean, they were getting well schooled and things like that. But when I did Roseanne and Tom behind the scenes, I was coming from my doctor's office, and at the floor stops. I'm on 4. The floor stops at 3, and Roseanne gets on,
Oh my gosh.
and oh yeah, and at that point it's kind of like,
It's literally
okay.
a
First of all,
scene
she'd
from
been
one of
on
your
Letterman.
soap operas.
I know she had told Letterman on the show that she'd given me my start in show business and that I was good, but she crucified Denny Dillon, who was on the Fox one, which was bad. But
Yeah.
anyway, then she said, "I like what you
There was a
did, but you
competing,
cried too much."
yeah. Sorry, there was a competing Roseanne movie on Fox at the same time. And so she gets
Yes.
in, and what is she, and tell me what happens when she
Well,
gets
but
in
she
the
just said to
elevator
me,
again.
"I like what you did, but you cried too much." So I was like, that was the script and direction, Roseanne. I couldn't do anything else like this. Well, you did all right. So I think she
Now, is it
appreciated
around
it.
this time? Because there's a thing in the IMDb about, and I remember seeing it. You were on Johnny Carson. What was Johnny Carson? What was the Tonight Show appearance? And you did more than
I'm
one,
gonna
right?
cry
Or
right now.
oh no.
um, no, it was probably the most wonderful experience ever. He was the kind of host who listened to what you were saying. He didn't plot what was going to happen next. He listened to what you're saying and did this. Now, first of all, when I walked out there, I sat down and I couldn't stop going, He goes, "Are you having visions? What's happening to you over there?" And I said, "You don't understand, Mr. Carson. In our group of actors, when we're out there, we always say, when I get on the Carson show, I'm going to tell everybody who turned me down to go, and I'm on the Carson show. Eat that, you people. I mean, and he's like laughing. Liv Ullman was there. She was the other actress.
Oh,
And
wow.
oh my God. So that was the ultimate too, because she was the kindest, most gracious. And I think he liked her a lot because she was on the show a lot. Anyway, we talked about the show. We talked about everything like that.
What
He
show
was
were you
great.
talking about?
We were talking about Daddy's Dying, Who's Got the Will.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
because
So
the
this was
publicist
earlier.
said, yeah, the publicist wanted me to submit myself for Best Supporting Actress,
Uh-huh.
which I did. I didn't get that but uh, it was such a great experience. And then Johnny asked me to come back, but he was out, and I did Jay Leno. Um, 2 times I think I did Jay. But it was, I mean, it's the kind of thing that all the actors used to go, when I'm on Leno, I mean, so, or not on Leno,
Yeah,
but when I'm
yeah.
on Carson, blah, blah, blah.
Carson.
So it was a great experience. So,
It's like growing up in that period of time where 11:30 hit and you had those multicolored curtains and there was only one Johnny Carson. Now there's 15. No, look at me. I'm on TV right now having my own show. But back in the
that's
day,
crazy.
it was just Johnny Carson. So it must have been the most amazing experience.
Well, it totally was doing In the Line of Fire, meeting John
Right.
Malkovich and stuff. In fact, I was doing a stage show at another little theater. The Golden Mall had been closed by that time. This was another little theater on the mall, actually on
Uh-huh.
the long San Fernando Street and stuff. And we were doing this thing called Club Indigo, and it was a musical, like a big like the 1940s. I mean, there were dancers doing the dance to Swing Swing Swing, and I mean, it was like a 15-minute dance number, people coming downstairs and doing that, and I was kind of like the Madam MC kind of person. Anyway,
Uh-huh.
uh, that led to something else I was just going to say, and I lost my train of thought. I apologize. um,
We were talking about All the President's Men, or not All the President's, In the
Well,
Line
I
of
mean,
Fire with John Malkovich.
that's what I was going to say. On that show, one of the little actresses grabbed me by the throat because I just booked In the Line of Fire. She goes, "If I don't get to meet John Malkovich, I'll kill you." And I was like, "Well, I don't know." Anyway, so I said, "Okay, I'll ask if you can come on the set." They said, "Yes, you can come on the set." I went to John. I said, "John, would you mind? We're doing a musical theater thing together, and this young lady she'd like to pick your brain. She's at UCLA's theater program, blah, blah, blah." He said, "Okay." He spent 2 or 3 hours talking to her while my roommate is getting killed in the other room, talking theater and stuff like that. And when they
Oh
asked him
my
to come out, and he was
gosh.
so jovial and he was so sweet, and loves theater, and because that's his background too. And
Yeah.
I mean, she was just enamored like this. And at this point, if I had asked her to kill somebody, she would have done it. She was so happy and grateful. But it was like, then kind of everybody woke for lunch. Now we're coming back, and John is sketching because he's doing something to his home in France or something. He's sketching what he wants in the bathroom or something. I don't know. And they came to him and they said, "John, we're ready for you." And he went, "Oh, I'm ready." I mean,
Whoa.
that alone was an acting thing that you just cannot. He was unbelievable. Now, I never worked with Clint at all there.
Right.
Clint Eastwood loved the scene that John and I did in the bank where I shouldn't have come from Minneapolis. And
Yeah.
he hired me to do Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil.
I was going to ask this because you don't work with Clint, but Clint is famous for using people that he likes. So he saw that, liked it, and called you in for Midnight in the Heart of Good and Evil. What's it like working with Clint? I hear that he doesn't say action; he goes, "Go on." Or
Yeah, and
what's it like when he's
it's very
directing?
interesting. Like, uh, first, let me just say, when I did Speed 2, all his camera crew had been working on that show because they weren't doing anything with Kurt. He used the same camera and all those people all the time. So I'd already met most of the camera people.
Uh huh.
Anyway, so now we're doing this. It's the end of the scene, and I have to walk into the courtroom. And Clint Eastwood says, blah, 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 to do blah, blah, blah. And I said, "Okay, but Mr. Eastwood," and he goes, "It's Clint, little darling." "What?" And so I said, "Wouldn't it be," and I'm not a director, but I think for my character, if I just walked in like this and did this, and he goes, "We like it." Okay, that's what you do then. I mean, he was amazing and stuff. So, um, and I keep skipping stories. When Roseanne had parties for her 400th show or something like that, it
Hmm.
was at the bowling alley that's by the Highland in Hollywood. There's a big
Uh-huh.
bowling thing
Lucky,
there.
Lucky
She had a
Strike.
big party
Uh-huh.
there for all the cast and crew and family and all stuff like that. And previous, and I'm sitting there like this, and somebody comes up and gives me a baby, and I'm holding this baby. Then Roseanne walks in the door and she goes, "What's she holding my grandbaby for?" Yes. And I'm assuming this relative or something thought it was her. I don't know. I mean, my life has been wonderful, and I don't want to change it. So it's crazy.
I believe you. I mean, so you did the soap opera, or you're still doing the soap opera. You did Step by Step. You did all of this movie. You're in these movies with John Malkovich and Clint Eastwood. And then the other one I wanted to ask you about was Speed 2, because it was a huge, like just big, big, big production. Was that your
It was being
largest
filmed
production?
at the same time Titanic was being filmed,
Oh my God.
where money's being used. So Speed 2 is disjointed in places. Things we
Yeah.
were supposed to go back after Christmas to finish filming stuff. We ended up having to go to Santa Clarita and rebuild like the interior of the ship for some running around and stuff. It was crazy. Why this kid's supposed to be in an elevator? What the hell are we doing? I mean, we were all like going, "Oh God." Anyway, but Jason Patrick and Sandra Bullock were absolutely amazing, as was the rest of the cast that we got to work with. We had a great time. I mean, there was at one point we were in St. Bart's. We're not working. We're at St. Bart's laying on the beach like this. And here comes a man naked because they don't wear clothes there at times if they don't want to. And one of the lady's daughters was visiting. I never saw her move so fast in my life. And we're all going like this, trying to not let the kid look. And at this point, she leaps on top of her child. I mean, it was the wildest experience. At one point, Sandra Bullock had all of us moon the director. We were having to go back and forth doing this scene. Finally, she just said, "That's enough. Okay, when we go by this time, everybody moon." Here we all are, asses out, mooning the crew. I mean, we had a great time. Jan was wonderful. I mean, it was just a good
Jan de
experience.
Bond, the director. Yeah, you've
Yes,
worked
I'm
with
sorry.
some
Yeah.
really good directors. Wolfgang Peterson
Oh
on
my
In the
God.
Line of Fire, Clint Eastwood, Jan de Bond. These are huge
Yeah.
directors.
Working with on on the oh God, his name just went out of my head. When working on
Wolfgang in the Line of Fire.
Wolfgang in
Uh
the
huh.
Line of fire, I mean, I went in. I think I saw him twice, and he he said to me, "I've auditioned over 500 women for this part," and I'm like,
Wow.
Okay." And he said something else to me, and I had been losing weight, so I was probably down to where I am now, about 150. And he said, about your weight." I said, "Excuse me, I'm trying to be healthy. I'm not going to put weight on. If that makes any difference, I thank you very much, but I'm not going to do that."
Yeah.
And he looked at me. He said, "That's the vulnerability that I want in this movie when he comes to your door." And I got the part.
Oh my God. Oh my
Yeah. So
God.
I have worked with some wonderful people, and you know, even when you think like doing the soap opera and stuff that you're not there, don't diminish your own worth. It's that kind of thing. So, yeah.
We'll be back after these messages. Hey there, my name is Patrick Labyorteaux, and I play an actor on TV. And I also have this acting school called Working Actors School. And what we do there is we teach people to act using Zoom. So you can take an acting class with me and with a person in Connecticut, in Florida, and San Diego all at the same time, thanks to the miracle of Zoom. Now, besides classes, I also offer a one-on-one session. It's an hour just between you and me working on a particular piece of material, whether it's for an upcoming audition or maybe you're working on something and you need to have that breakthrough moment. These are really, really fun, and they're really, really great because they're really personalized and intense in all the good ways that intense can be. So if you're working on something, if you want to break through, if you want to have a one-on-one session where you're not working with other people, this is the way to do it. All the information is in the classes page on workingactorsschool.com. Act 4, questions. We end this podcast with a set of questions. I'm going to ask you these questions, and you know all the answers because they're all about you. You can't answer anything wrong here. And the first question is, before we get to questions, hey, Emmy winner, tell me about winning an Emmy.
I
Holy,
won an
holy
Emmy for
smokes.
I won an Emmy for acting dead. Basically, it's about a character who can't get a job, and I'm his travel agent, become his theatrical agent. Anyway, so he can't get a job, so he decides to turn himself into a zombie because zombies are working all the time. So he goes to this place, and I mean, if you haven't seen it, it's worth looking at.
I
It's so well
haven't.
shot. It's so fabulous. Anyway, but we couldn't get anybody interested in anyways, but that's another whole story. So I played Marge. I mean, I was his travel agent turned agent and stuff like that. And then there's a ghost that's involved there too that only the zombie can see because he's dead already, so he can see other dead. Meanwhile, I'm talking to her over here, and she's standing over here. That kind of it was hysterical and wonderful. And I got an Emmy nomination, and I won. I am the
And you're
first
the
actor.
first person. You're the first one to do this Emmy. What's the Emmy
Yeah,
category?
the short form. And if I will say right this moment, any young filmmaker that has something out there 15 minutes or less, the TV Academy said we're not getting enough submissions. Well, art is subjective, and I think they hurt themselves with it already by suddenly saying, "Oh, that's not worth it." Letting a little crew decide what's worth somebody's art. They shouldn't do that. Everybody should have been submitted. Everybody should have been viewed. Everybody should let other people, because Joe Blow over here may have a different opinion than Mary Ann over here. So
Yeah.
let them decide by checking the box and voting for it or not. But
Well, just
they
in this
need
short period of time,
submissions.
you've
If
worked.
you
You've
have the web series, I think I don't think it's any
uh,
more than 15 minutes because that's what each episode is 15 minutes. There's
okay.
so many web series that are being shot that are beautifully shot. Submit to the TV Academy. Submit for
Absolutely.
short form, and get that out there because you know you've used your monies, you used your talents, you've hired friends, you're now eating soup out of a can because you spent your money. So submit it. Know your worth and know how good this was. If nothing else, it's in your heart and you get a vote, but at least get your name out there. Put your product out there. So, I mean, I get so upset thinking these people have been rejected, and yet I've done the ISA series awards. I have won 2 awards for different web series that I've done for that show.
Is that
So
the
it's like,
Independent Spirit Awards? The
no, it's
ISAs?
not the independent series.
No.
It's the independent. It's the independent series. It's a web series.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
web
Okay.
series thing. They were. I think this was going to be their 15th year, but the lady that runs this daughter got cancer, so she had to back out for this
Oof.
year. So they're going to come in next year. So, but her daughter's pretty cancer free right now. She's going through the submit, but it's very hard.
Yeah.
But that's what I want to say there, and that's where I got that.
Really important because
I got an Emmy for The Bay also, which is another web series, which is now on Peacock, and competing against Days of Our Lives. So grow your product, know your product, and go for it, and submit everywhere.
well, that's excellent advice. However, coming from an Emmy winner, I would listen to it. So tell me, okay, so you've talked to Johnny Carson, you've worked with Clint Eastwood, and now you've won an Emmy. What was that? How does that feel? What is that like when you
It's
win an
almost like
Emmy?
I'm going to cry again. When you
Yeah.
get an Emmy, that's from your peers. That's where the people who aren't in the industry but are in the industry, and they said your work is the best. And there's nothing like that, Patrick.
What was it like to go? Because you guys have a show for it. It just isn't aired, right? For those, I forget what they call them, theatrical arts awards or whatever. It's part of that showing, isn't it? Where it's
I'm
not
not
part
sure
of the
what.
prime time. Well,
Um,
when they present you with the Emmy, what was that like?
well, Ryan Seacrest was there. He helped me up the stairs, and then it was like, again, so excited. It was great. And then, so I thanked my husband. I thanked the producers and everybody that was involved in that. And then if you forgot anybody backstage, there's another camera that says, now the people you forgot, how would you like to thank them? So that was great. And then you go and 4,000 people are flashing cameras and stuff at you. And it was amazing, totally amazing. Then
Where
there's
do
the
you keep your
governor's
Emmy?
ball. What? Miami's right there.
Where do you keep your Emmy?
It's right there, center stage of my house. It was by the
Absolutely.
front door for
I get so frustrated with the people that go, "Oh, I keep it in my bathroom." It's like, are you kidding me? Come on. It's got to be in the middle of the living room
It's like
on the coffee
right there
table.
with all my awards. I can walk you over there and you could see all my awards. Anyway, so yeah, it was a blessing, and I loved every minute of it. So
Well, congratulations. I can't think of anybody who deserves it
thank you, doll.
more. Yeah. No, I'm compliments to you. So here we are. We're at the last part. We're going to be doing the questions. Okay.
Okay.
So this question is called That's Showbiz. And we may have just talked about it. The question is, what's the most Hollywood moment in your life?
Winning that Emmy.
Yeah. Okay. You can't beat that.
I mean, there's not a lot that can top that. So yeah.
Okay. And then That's Showbiz Part 2. What's the most embarrassing Hollywood moment that you've had?
Getting fired from a job.
Wow. Okay. Did you feel it
was called The Boys. The audition had me be a frantic, happy, ecstatic fan. A fan? Oh, so happy to meet you, Ben. I watched you since you were a little boy. Oh my God. That was the audition. Now I come in and suddenly that's what I'm doing. And the director's going, no. I want Kathy Bates. Okay, now I've spent time learning the script, doing everything, being, and now they want me to be, I love you. They want me to be the crazed fan. And that transition was very hard. By the end of the day, I didn't have the job. Yeah, it was devastating.
Well, it's literally happened to
Show
every actor.
Show got canceled. Should have kept me.
Look, I know the one on Amazon, but I've never heard of that one. Okay, the next one. Show me the money. What was your biggest missed financial opportunity? And I'm not looking for numbers, but every time you're in this business, a lot of opportunities pass your way because of people and things. What would you say your biggest missed financial opportunity was?
You know what? I don't know if I've had one. Like I said earlier, I've been very lucky in my career and stuff like that. And I'm not a woulda, coulda, shoulda person. If it was going to happen, it would happen. And if you dwell on the past, it's gone. Leave it alone. You're right. Deal with what's going on today and don't look for the future. Today is today, and it'll be tomorrow and it'll be gone. So just today. So I don't do that.
Once again,
I sit there going, come on, lottery numbers. Come on, lottery numbers.
Well, lotteries and auditions are very similar.
There you go.
Okay, so show and tell. As a teenager or young lady, what was your favorite poster in your room and how did you come to obtain it?
Elvis, honey, I grew up with Elvis and I bought it and, and I wore out the 45s and yeah. I mean, I look damn good.
Did you ever get a chance to meet Elvis?
Honey, I would be in the grave right now if that happened because I would have just dissolved right there like this. Yeah.
And then finally, show me some love. What is your favorite performance of mine?
Oh, let me think. I think it was when you were on the spinoff of Little House. There was a couple times where your emotional thing there. I think you and you carried it over into Jag and stuff like that. I always love it when you're more nerdy sometimes, like when, being on NCIS when that spinoff happened, and and Mark Harmon being so intimidating. Some of those, and you're like, nah, no, like this. Well, I don't think so, but I think since I've grown up with you, or you've grown up with me, that I think the fact that you're always, you're professional. You're when it's kid time, you're a kid. When it's work time, you work. So that would be the most.
That was the thing too. When I was prepping for this interview, I was realizing I know Patrika, but I don't know Patrika's career. It's sort of weird. It's like when you're not personal friends with a person, the outside person maybe better. you know their career better. I know you and Rolf and Noreen, and like I know I know what you ordered adults, but I have no idea of what you did on days. So it's like kind of a weird combination of those things.
Epilogue.
Epilogue is plugs. Do you have anything to plug? Anything you'd like people to take a look at, or
Well,
upcoming
I mean, if you
projects or
go to
anything?
if you go to IMBD right now, there's a thing
Uh-huh.
on IMBD. It's kind of in pre-production. They're trying to get the monies and do everything, and it's called Two Old Stoned Ladies, or Two Stoned Old Ladies. I did the
Okay.
read through, and they've asked me to sort of, if it happens, if but it's a pig in a poke. The producers could come along and want, Meryl Streep to play the part, who has a bigger
Right.
name than I do and stuff. But anyway, but look at it because it's on IMDb. It's getting so many followers. They just announced the title and what it's about, and people can't wait to see it. So we're
It's a
trying to get
great
some monies
title.
for that. It is so. The script was hysterical. Needs some tweaking and stuff, of course. But it's fun. It's fun. I'm also got a friend who has the rights to a Carolyn Hart thing. Then she
Uh-huh.
wrote the pilot, and I'm a recurring character in it. So there's a lot of things going on. I mean, I have a couple things I'm trying to get going too, and I'm working with some, my friend Donna White's becoming a producer with Allison, and so we're starting a company there that I'll be involved in, I'm sure, because I'm going to kill him if I'm not. But it's okay. Anyway, but yeah, there's a lot of things. I think that's the most important thing is when they nail the coffin shut, I will be on the other side with a hammer getting out because, it's like that's the kind of thing is you do this and you, now I compete with ladies who are the same age as me who have silver hair and stuff like that, but I don't. And I don't have a lot of wrinkles. My grandmother passed at 101 and she didn't have a wrinkle. So I have
Yeah.
good genes.
Well,
And
and like I
so
said, not only do you have good genes, but you are Patrika Darbo. You are one of one in the sense that while a character actor, you are recognizable as you. Like I'm sure you've seen breakdowns that say Patrika Darbo type because you can be able to
and I
create.
go like this, she's available.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'll do
Yeah.
it.
And being on days was wonderful because coming into people's homes every single day, I have some fans that I've known for 20 something years now. And I've
Wow,
been to some of their homes for Thanksgiving, their family. And
that can be
I
dangerous.
was,
Be
I got,
careful.
I know, I don't go, I'm careful about stuff like that. There are some people that want to get close to you and you're kind of like, no, here, this is my border here. There's
Right.
other that I'll grab and hug. I mean, I met when I first started on the show, one lady came up and slapped me, not in the face, but just slapped my arm like this. You leave Carrie and Mike alone. And could you sign this picture? I said, you just hit me and now you want my autograph? What, are you crazy? And she goes, yes. So
I just had
anyway,
Allison Arngram on the show who played Nellie, and she tells this story very similar because Nellie's a villain. And
yes.
this lady came up to her all red faced, and she's just about ready to spit nails at her. And she yells at her, "I forgive you," and then just walks off. It's
It's a
like
great
people.
business. It's a great business.
Well, Patrika, thank you so much for doing this. We could
Thank
talk
you,
for
baby.
hours because your career is like so huge. You're wonderful. I've always had a great relationship with you because you're positive. I think the people need that in this business. And I just want to wish you all the best and may you win many, many more Emmys and Academy Awards.
Well,
And
may
I'll
we
be
work
looking for your
together
next
on
part.
something. After all this time, we've
Right?
never worked together. And let me just say for your audience who's listening, there's maybe a young actor like this. Yes, there are small roles, but you can make it big. You can make it the best. And if you are
Yep.
kind to everyone, which doesn't cost you a dime, that part, honey, wait, I'm going to digress again. Take the role, make it your own. I did what's that thing called? The A Team. I
Uh-huh.
did the A Team. I was supposed to be on stage to do cheating that night. I'm doing the A Team, and I had rollers in my hair and I had my pajamas because it was supposed to be a night. Well, so I'm there from 6 a.m. in the morning. It's now 8 o'clock. No, it's now 7 o'clock because I had to. I'm like going, y'all. Are we close? Because I'm supposed to be on stage, and Della's calling me. Everybody's calling me. I'm trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
Anyway, God, um, I go in there. The dialogue was he says something about, oh, I know her, and I go, from where? Because here's this sexy girl, and my husband's like, slug. Anyway, that was it. That was it. End of the day, go home, go do your play, get out of here. Off I go. It was Daddy's dying, not cheating, because I had curlers in my hair. And I didn't have to do anything but just get on stage when I got there. Anyway, that role, those 2 words got me about $4,000 something because they forgot to put me in the credits. They forgot everything. And I had all my contracts and stuff. So, honey, take the job. Sometimes it's a boom, and
Right.
other times you might get fired. But if it's in your soul, feed it. And if if it's not, go teach school, but get yourself in classes at the same time. So just keep working.
Thank you again. That's great advice. All the advice you've given is fantastic, Patrika. Thank you so much for doing this.
It's the Patrick Labyorteaux Show. Patrick Labyorteaux. He's the one you gotta know.
Hey, everybody, thanks for listening. I'm really, really glad you're here and checking out the podcast. It is an audio podcast wherever you get your podcasts. It's a video podcast over on YouTube or on Spotify or wherever you get the video ones. All of my socials are Working Actors School on TikTok, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Please check us out. If you want any information about the school, it is at workingactorsschool.com. We've got classes going on all the time. And again, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.